nhớ trong trong nhiệt gì cái tên trả thu này giờ lúc bé thì tôi lúc tiền nâng gạo xong ốp hành nâng gạo bé cú giờ bỏ đi và nhớ họ mong thường xuyên đến nu sau sự lúc nào cũng cho bé một xe nhớ trò lúc bé thì tôi lúc tỷ cầu gì ta là nó nhớ trò lúc giàu vào sau sang Wisconsin cú bỏ toเลยฮะเดียลูกกงหัวหัวเดีย Wisconsin มองเราเวทแล้วกูใส่ต่อตัวเธอเจ้าเราตัวลูกของน้องบริอีถึงต่อได้ย้อนหนอชัวช่องหนอชัวกูสาเลยฮะเดียจะเกี่ยวพุ่งยืดเราได้หนอได้จื้อให้คอจึงจังหังดีแล้วนั่นช่วงนอเลยที่ลีต่อเจอตุ่มยามเลยยันเราเขารู้สัง Wisconsin ยาโทนี่เอเวอร์สเราต่ออีตัว Senator ยา Jerry เราต่ออีตัว Representative ยา Pat Snyderตัวกงเราจงหมอบาสิคิเตนอที่ยังเก่าวันที่กูจะเป็นผู้ใช้จงหมอเรากูจะเป็นผู้ใช้เกี่ยวกับโรลันในยิ่งเรื่องช่วงเทียนหนอช่วยช่วงเทียนจะรู้หัวเพียต่อการเราก็มันจะเป็นแกผู้ใช้เกี่ยวต่อใจตุ่มกันไปเลยยันเรารู้สังวิสคอนซินตัวกงเราจงหมอบาสิคิเตนอที่ยังเก่า
我做到蒙 Twin Cities News นะ我做呢整到多cover 俾佢工程到นู่นน่ะที่หลังนู่นน่ะยังนู่นชื่อเซ็งที่มันนุ่งกี่ชับเลยว่าไปอีจมอง到ตัว新有ตัว新จีที่ที่ปอนตัว celebrate ตัวจะเกี่ยวว่าประธานน่ะโชว์ดักแล้วว่าประธานที่จุดนั้นเราไปตัว celebrate ว่าเกี่ยวกับเชื่อตัว Senator Petrowski แล้วตัว Governor อี Tony Evers ที่Representative Pat Snyder จะเลยยังจะตัวป้าไปมองหลังได้เลยจะยังว่าที่จะเชื่อเลยให้ไปชมห้องไปบอกเลยไปว่าลูกคนเช่นนั้นตัวเช่าหล่อแล้วยิ่งจะเช่าเป็นห้องต่างกันต่างได้นะที่จะยิ่งท้อให้ตัวยังอีจงเนี่ยจีก็ต้องจะทุเรศสุดตัวไปเช่าไปจากกูตัวต่อที่เช่าจ่อไอ้ตัวลูกเป็นห้องน่ะจะกูจะรู้จมห้องแล้วนะซึ่งจะว่าโจน่ะ
น่าจะกูที่นี่จะที่อีจงกูตัวต่อจะได้เนี่ยกัดเตะดอกเตะนู่ตัวเรานู่ปงเราจะไปจอมมองหรือจอมปลาว่าไปตัวสีต่อสินชาปวดลุติรุเจอก็จดต่อสงครามเวียดนามนู่นน่ะอย่าอีนู่จังต่อไปจากตัวเจอจะได้นู่นน่ะว่าไปต่อหลักจารุกงเชิงน่ะวิยาเทินน่ะกูรักเราตัวเทินที่ไปอย่าง official election เราตัวลูกของเขามองเรา Veteran of American Incorporation ยอดต่อสัง Wisconsin จะจอมบอดจะไวเซอร์ลอมรถจะ chapter ที่จะ member แต่เราจะพุ่งยืดเฉยที่สาเตียอยู่ตะก้าวลูกกุ้งเชิงนาในต่อการเดิมกูก็มาสาเหตุจอลป้าปีชับเลยจะตุงกับเนนาที่สินิตุช่วยที่ว่า representative Pat Snyder ลอมรถจะพุ่งยืดจงตัวจะกูสาเดียจะมอว่าเกซื้อในต่อการเดิมกูก็ต่อเฉลยเราเฉลยที่เป็นต้นคุณน่ะเดี๋ยวตัวยี่ลังที่มากระถาอย่างเงี้ยไปชิมัวในโยเลยจ่าที่ไปยันเสียใจเลยจ่าไปโยเลยจ่าที่ชิปาตก็กูจะเจอมันก็เลยยงเสียเลยยาป้าไปจะเล่าจะกูตุจ่าขณะอย่าอีกข้อจังไปยังโบชัวอเมริกันเนี่ย we hope to train ไปคอนเทรนแต่ละนี่จะรัวเสียดายอย่าโยป้าถมจะเสียยงเลยนะถอตุ้ยชิมัวจะเสียเลยที่เชื่อมาโมขวากขวาโจนะในชิมนุกีขณะยักษ์กูเถียวกะว่าด้วยลังโจเงินเตาเที่ยมาเกิดเที่ยแต่นี่จะหัวเชื่อก็ขณะเที่ยนี่จะบอกจะเอาไว้เสื้อจะสเต็ปเชื่อนะนี่ว่าเจอว่านี่ป้าเป้ไม่อยากสอนเที่ยเท่าขณะเราว่าจังเที่ยประธานจำลองเกิดตัวขณะเที่ยกาบเนอเที่ยเลยเปลี่ยนตัวขณะขณะยักษ์ว่ายงเสียจะเปลี่ยนนู่นน่ะโตไปจากกูตัวเสียเดี๋ยวเลยตัวเลยนะจะเสียจะหลอกจะหลอกจะหนอจะชื่อตัวไหนตัวเชื่อไปกับไปมั่วตัวเสียนเต้มุ่งเลยตอนเต้ที่หายงเสียเรามุ่งสิกงว่าแต่เขาหรือนะมุ่งเลยตอนเต้ที่เพื่อเราเต้เจนะก็แล้วป้อเดียวิวจะไปที่ตัวที่เจนะไปตัวที่เจนะวิไปป้าเราก็จดจำได้แล้วเขาป้าไปตัวเจ้าที่เจนะที่ไปชัวเรื่องชัวตัวอยู่ตลอดวันหนึ่งจงไปสัญชาติอเมริกันตาเลยไปตัววันหนึ่งจงรู้เชื่อนะตายตานู่นน่ะว่าเจ้าคือพอในเที่ยนี้เนี่ยแต่นี่ตัวขนาดนี้ตัวป้าถ้าจะดูนะตัวเป้เที่ยยิ่งข่าวรักเกิดตัวเป้หมดเลยตอนเที่ยว่าเจ้าเนี่ยตัวคือตัวเที่ยแต่นะว่าเจ้าเรากูจะกูตัวเชื่อตัวเรื่องตัวจำนะชัปเตอร์จอมพวดจะไวเซอร์เป็นต้นคือชนใจเที่ยแต่จะไหนจะสีเชื่อนี่เชื่อตัวนู่นน่ะวันนี้เชื่อจนตัวนะนู่นน่ะยัยนู่นจังชับเลยเราเป้ว่าเจ้าตัว
กูอยากจำลองลูกของเชงนอเจลุงเจียอย่าว่าอยากปลีตัวประธานนอชัวอยู่ทุนเป้หล่อนมู ตอนเดินจะยาวว่าปลีโต Gevernor Tony Evans เที่ยวหาว่าปลีโต Senator Anjali Petrowski แล้ว Senator อันนี้นะ Snyder แล้วเปล่าตัวนะอย่าวิมัวล้นะจะเที่ยวชิดเชลูกของนะที่เราจานุนะอย่าวิมัวนะจูออกสเตนะชิยาเที่ยวที่เราจานุนะไปลูกของฉันจะอย่าอีกข้าคิดเสียว่าปลีโตแล้วเปล่าตัวล้านนะเอกกูเขียนโดนี่เสด็จเปล่าเลยนะว่าเจ้า
ว่าจะนะนู่นก็ยังนู่นเจ๋งพัฒนาชัวก็ยังตัวพัฒนาก็ตัวจอยเนี่ยรัสวิสคันเซนนะนอกจากนะละตัวใหญ่เร่งนี่ก็ตัวexecutive directorเนี่ยเขารู้ว่ามองอเมริกันเซนเตอร์อิงนะอย่าเอาป้านะที่นอกจากนั้นก็มั่วจะกงห่อเราจะตัวหลาตัวหลวนเราตัวป้าไอ้ลูกกงเชิงทั้งนั้นเตะชิวๆเป็นอย่างป้าแต่เป็นอย่างเตะเฉินนะวันนี้จะละเป็นตัวหัวเหลือใกล้ชิดเราเตะหน่อเตะชิวรัวเป้าอยู่จะอยู่ว่าที่เราเตารัวเทิงอาอยู่ตัวเห็นนะที่ปอให้เตียนรัวราวิคันจินจากอุตุตราเราจะน่าจะว่าแต่ราวิคันจินนะก็ว่าหนอกว่าหัวเหลือแก่จีเราเตะหน่อเตะชิวไอ้นวลเป็นที่ปอให้เตียเจ้าเขื่อนเฮาวิสกันจินรัวก็ตัวเปโตรพงยือเจอรี่เปทรอสกี้แล้วก็ยาอีตกูเซเนเตอร์เนี่ยเขาราวิคันจินนะแล้วก็ตัวเตี้ยนอกจากนั้นเราตัวพูดแทนเพทริกไนเดอร์นะแล้วก็ตัวเจ้าเมืองเขารู้ว่าโซนะแล้วก็ตัวตีอย่างก็คนน่ะอย่าเจียงจีเดี๋ยวพัฒนาชัวเตี้ยตันต่อตัวใหญ่เลยเตี้ยตันต่อจะน่าจะว่าจะเจียจากอุตุตราเราจะกงห่อเนี่ยกงเสียกงชื่อว่าเขาหรือใกล้ชิดตอนหน่อชื่อไอ้นู่นหน่อชื่อเตี้ยตัวเทิงไงนะเดี๋ยวเดี๋ยวพัฒนาชัวที่รอดจากลงก็ให้ลูกกงเช่งเนี่ยเจียว่าจะพัฒนาชัวให้เดี๋ยวรวบเตาเราประทานชุดที่เปนอกจากนั้นละเป็นตัวผู้แทนตัวนี้เอเวอร์สนั่นละรวมกับเราเตาว่าเจ้าเขื่อนถ้าว่าเจ้าเขื่อนเขาราชการเช่นเราที่อ่อนดัวเป็นกับตัวเสียให้เดี๋ยวเป็นตัวพงยือเจอรี่เพทรอสกี้นะรวมว่าเขาเหลือตอนนึงกับเปล่าชงน่าเจรวมกับเตาลาเตอร์ละตักชีรวลาเตอร์ละรวมยิ่งถึงเป็นย่อจะเทิงงาเป็นจะมุ่งจะรอเสด็จดีรวยว่าเตาหน้าพอดีจะเราก็เรียกยองเชียให้เดี๋ยวพัฒนาชัวตัวใหญ่เลยทีนี้จะว่าเนี่ยโหรานะเนี่ยกงเชียกงชื่อไอ้เต้จะให้ว่าอย่าเมเราลัวตัวอย่าเล่าเราลัวตัวยี่ตัวใหญ่เลยเราว่าลูกบุญเนี่ยเดี๋ยวตัวลินตัวเนี่ยจะเชื่อเนี่ยโหรากันเช่นนั่นละเจ้าเขื่อนเนี่ยตัวเธอตัวงานเขาเนี่ยอย่างนี้ว่าโหเหลือใกล้ชิดตัวล้วนหน่อชื่อนะวันนี้จะก็เรียกเชื่อเดี๋ยวชื่อชื่อเท่าชื่อกันเนี่ยก็เจนหน่อตัวมั่วอาชีพเราจะป้าตัวอยู่ที่เราเป็นแสงเสื้ออย่าโลว่าเตาโลว่าเตาตีอยู่แต่เตาอยู่ซึ่งจะอยู่ที่โลจีป้าอยู่จะอยู่ยิ่งมุขตาเขาตัวน่ะหายตัวนี้จะเกิดที่มงเสด็จจะหายตัวนี้ว่าตัวละกาเลียก็เสด็จยอใกล้เส้นหนอกแค่สุดชื่อก็โลเป้าอยู่มั่วเอาจีอยู่หมดถอดหรอโลจีป้าอยู่เห็นนะว่าจ้า
So these are so you can shake their hands here. You're not government. Yeah, first lady, first
Welcome, Governor. Mr. March, good to see you.
Hey, Governor. Welcome to you, man. You bet. It's always a good time to do it twice, you know. Good to see you again.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Governor.
Good to see you again. Yeah.
How are you?
Good to see you again. Back through one more time.
Good to see you.
Back through again. Back again. Good to meet you. How are you?
Yes. น้องฟัววัดท่าฮะข้าพเจ้านายชนโชคขอน้ำหน่อยคงเกียรติยศเราแล้วเราลาดิสกันเซนเพื่อนต้อนรับท่านเราเลยตอนนี้เยอะผมโดยคณะทางยิงในใจแม่โปรยเซนท่านเข้าเปิดงานกันสลองวันการเลือกตั้งในปี 2022 มานาเมลกับพี่ด้วย
Do not share.
They're just gonna walk up. Do your first name. Then you're gonna turn back around.
เจ้าขอน้ำหน่อยก็เกียรติยศเหล่านั้นเราเข้ามาเพียงเท่านี้
Thank you. We could walk
Done.
Thank you so much for both of you for joining us today. Everyone's so excited to see both of you. The Governor, you and the First Lady can come with me.
Hey, shut up. You said that toilet.
Rồi. Lên. Làm ra bia. Hấp. Một. Theo. Go. Na. Một tha. Hấp. Vâng. Liệp. Làm ra bia. Hấp. Theo. Go. Sai. Lên. Ok. Na lên. Na lên. Na. Na. Deux. Mong.
America and the Hmong American Center. nhớ rồi sợ là cái rồi sáng đầu tận nó tôi còn nghe cho nên số tu我就以内哈，就佢补充下等nó của tôi từ MC cho nó补充啥hình vì hạt ta cũng nhớ từ sai cái lúc nhớ hùa sợ nó nó tao mới từ MC mà cũng cho啥hình đấy cho啥tận nó nhớ nó Saturday nhớ lúc xí hở cái đấy là môn đâu phải theo nó là mấy cho xí mấy lúc xí hở tôi cũng bên nó cho họ ta mới bù hạt ta lúc xí hở này lúc khó cái chỉ chính hình ha chỉ nhỏ giống mỏ em mới cho đấy tôi so thank you all again for being here so with that I'd like to, with no further ado, really have the Honorable Mayor Katie Rosenberg come on up here to provide us some welcoming remarks.
Now showing up, Governor Evers, Senator Petrowski, Representative Snyder, my friends, Executive Director Nao Shoua Xiong, President of the Hmong Lao Veterans of America, Lieutenant Nao Shoua Xiong, 18 clan leaders, welcome. Everyone gathered here today, more than half a century of invisible threads that have been twisted and knotted together have led us to this very place today. And I'm so thrilled that we're able to gather here in Wausau and celebrate the collective decades these leaders have given to our community. I've had the opportunity to watch and take part in a handful of celebratory Khi Tes ceremonies. One of the very first celebrations I actually participated in was just about 9 years ago when Nao Shoua Xiong was first elected to the DC Everest School Board. This was the very first time I'll be participating in a Khi Tes for someone who isn't Hmong though. And that's actually extremely notable. This kind of celebration isn't just for any run-of-the-mill elected official. When I was talking to Yiling earlier, he told me that the last time the Hmong Lao veterans celebrated a non-Hmong leader with a Khi Tes ceremony was in the 1970s. That honor was bestowed on CIA paramilitary officer Bill Lair. If you've never heard of Bill Lair before, he was the guy who heard about a talented young Hmong officer and then worked with that officer and his troops to wage what is now known as the Secret War. And that young officer, of course, turned out to be General Vang Pao. And that officer and that general are also the reason all of us are here today and also indelibly tied together. So, gentlemen, you're part of this tapestry. Our community has been weaving since the 1970s, and you know that it hasn't always been easy. Our Hmong neighbors, despite the fact that they arrived here as refugees because of their integral roles as American allies, many joining as children, and many losing their families and every one of their belongings in addition to losing their homes. Our community still struggled to understand the colossal and enduring sacrifice our Hmong neighbors made half a world away. And while we've made progress on becoming that aspirational community for all, we still fall short of the pledges we've made to ensure everyone is included, recognized, and protected. In the past 3 years, we've struggled particularly with bigoted reactions to the COVID-19 pandemic, and it calls for recognition that our diversity is our strength. But just like the many threads that come together to create a rope strong enough to secure massive suspension bridges that we can cross together, those ropes can also be used to keep some people out, or worse, separate and fray and break us off from each other. But what we're doing here today is recognizing and recommitting our bonds and fastening our shared ideals together so that we're prepared to weave our future together. So when you hold out your wrists to accept your strings, you'll also receive blessings from the people you've served. I hope that you can hear their blessings as gratitude, but also as wishes for the future. These strings aren't just securing thanks for a job well done. These strings are forever linking our shared opportunities, binding our aspirations, and symbolizing our dedication to move forever forward together. So thank you for being here today.
Tôi cứ halu tao thế nó giờ bắt tham mà chống vang nia the representative the general Vang Pao chế tông này nia lu happy lu special line. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Vachong Vang, who is a member of the General Vang Pao's family, to come up to the stage to say a few words.
The Honorable Tony Evers, the Governor of Wisconsin, the Honorable Petrowski, the former state senator, the Honorable Patrick Snyder, State Assembly, also the Honorable Mayor Kelly Rosenberg of Warsaw, also our distinguished guests and veterans. Today is a special day for the Lao Hmong community and the Lao Hmong veterans. This Baci ceremony and luncheon today is to welcome the Governor, the retirement of our good friend, former Senator Petrowski, and also Patrick Snyder, and also our Hmong veteran board president, Nao Shoua Xiong, must be his third term? Third term. So this ceremony is in Laos, or when we are in this country, we always have this Baci ceremony to welcome and to blessing our leaders, our elders, for many generations of years. And this is the welcome and blessing for the Governor, former Senator, acting President, and our Lao Vet Board President, Nao Shoua Xiong. Thank you. Usually, we would like to thank for the Governor and all our distinguished today that use your time to come and participate in this Baci ceremony. We are so grateful and congratulations for Governor Tony Evers for winning his second term as the Governor of Wisconsin. Okay, and the retirement of former Senator Petrowski. We know that our Senator is working hard with the Lao Hmong veteran for many years, and now after 24 years, and you are retired because of your wife have some health condition. Yeah. Anyway, if you are retired, we still believe that you are still our good friend, and you are still be on out and still find some way to helping the Hmong community and also the Lao vet, like the time that when you're still as a senator. Also, we know that we have been in this country for 47 years, and that's long enough. But we are grateful for the US government brought us into this country to be a good citizen of the state and also the country. We, as the Hmong American, we will try to be our good citizen and try to do the best to not cause any trouble to the state, the city, or the country, and be a good citizen. We are good allies during the Vietnam War, and now we are still be good citizens of the country too. Special thanks to the Lao Hmong veteran of America and the Hmong American Center Inc. for organizing this ceremony and this luncheon for our leaders of the state of Wisconsin today. We know that this ceremony is not easy, but because of our Hmong love of the American government and the leaders of the state they believe, or the city they believe. So every year we have this ceremony to celebrate, or to welcome, or to congratulate to our leaders our elected official. Lastly, hope that our veterans of Hmong community, we only as the private citizen, we cannot do much for the government or the city or the state, but we do have our vote for you when you need us. So we will try our best. When the time comes, when the election comes, you need us, we will come and vote for you as our good friend, as our leaders in the city or county or the state. So, thank you for all of you that are coming today. I hope all of you have a good health, have a happy life, and continue your work as governor, assemblyman, a mayor, or any position in the government. Thank you. On behalf of the Leader of Power, I would like to thank you, every one of you. Hope that we will work closely with each other for many years to come. Thank you.
So one of our honorees, I'm going to be having come up here in just a moment here. He is Batan or Lieutenant Nao Shoua Xiong, who is the president of the Wisconsin Lao Veterans Board. And I have had the pleasure of knowing him much of my life. And he's always seen me as a daughter. And I so appreciate him for always seeing me. And even as a daughter, always recognizing and being so respectful. And I've always respected you. So, and I am so happy that you're being honored today. Lieutenant Nao Shoua Xiong, Wisconsin Law Veterans. He's the very first one we will be having come up here as one of our honorees. And so, so I'd like him to come on up to say a few words.
Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, and honored guests. First of all, I, Lieutenant Nao Shoua Xiong, President of Wisconsin Hmong Lao Veteran of American Incorporation, and would like to take this opportunity to pay to respect the great honorable mayor of the city of Warsaw, Katie Rosenberg. Thank you. The honorable President Wang Zhongwan, son of General Wang Pao and his family. The Honorable Pat Snyder, State Assembly District 85. The Honorable my great brother, a former State Senator Petrowski, in District 29. And my great honorable Tony Evans, 46th Governor of the great state Wisconsin. Thank you very much for all of your very hard work to serve our Hmong American and Hmong Lao veteran community and success for everything we needed. I will stand together and work with the local, state, and federal government and obey the law in this country. Especially, I would like to thank you for Yi Leng Xiong, Executive Director of the Hmong American Center Incorporation. Ma Xiong, Executive of Directors of Walmart, Wisconsin United Coalition of Association. the Wisconsin Hmong Lao Veteran of American Incorporation for very hard for planning this event successful, and other agencies coming to show respect and support our Hmong Lao veterans and Hmong community today. Especially, so I would like to get this opportunity. Thank you very much for my great brother, State Senator Petrowski. He's retired, but I believe you still behind me and help me anytime I need, and all Hmong veterans and Hmong community need you. Thank you very much for your spend 8 or 9 years ago with me. Thank you very much, Jerry and Pat Snyder. You have worked very hard with me. Thank you. And also, very honored and appreciation my great honor, Governor Tony Evans. You did a lot of things for the Hmong community, and I really appreciate for you and the whole side. The Hmong appreciations of May 14, the bill passed into law. Thank you very much, my great honors, State Senator, also the Governor Tony Evans, who here today, and all my friends and everybody here today. Thank you very much. Let me talk about a couple of words. Ku thamalo shena wa pila chao to ku cha ku tu cha. Ku cha wana chapter jambot ja wise la mo to cha phong cha yu cha ong kan chira. Ngo dia mong ku sen ni chira tua pa chai pilu ngana. Ngo pe cha ku tu cha ya mo ta tu she ken go. Pe chuo che che ke le la. Ta xiong no pe chuo a po yi chok lo lang le chu. Chỉ nên bỏ thì bây giờ lão cho nên tôi thì chỉ nói thì tu sửa cái này nên lúc nào cho là thì sẽ là rộng lâu thứ một số cái từ rồi chỉ cho tôi nó nên bỏ cho nó uniform nó chỉ giờ chơi cái này là bên tôn trọng sửa nên cho lúa thì lúc này nó cho là tỏ ra nên nè là cái nó cũng thọ và lúc tôi lên trường đào và tôi lên vậy tôi chỉ cho hắn cho lúc sợ thọ bé ở lúc cũng chơi nó cũng tao là giờ thả theo mang cái thả để bé sao thọ kí ba để thọ bé cho nó thọ kí ba là để cũng sao cái cho nó qua ý là gì hàng cái chứ bên này là chỉ cái ba là chỉ khắp lên nó cũng cho để thọ cái ba chứ tại vì tự nhiên thì cũng nó là cái hàng cái ba để dùng để trả bên trên thì toàn nhiều ba là a very special thank you for Yilang and his group. Thank you, Yilang. I appreciate for you and Mark and everybody here today to help me and all Hmong Lao veteran American Incorporation. Yeah, my conclusions is to thank you for all of you here today to support the Hmong Lao veteran of American Incorporation. We fought alongside with the United States CIA during the Vietnam War 1961 to 1975. Appreciate for all of you support and come to support us today. Thank you very much. May God bless all veterans and American. Thank you.
Next, I want to introduce to us the Honorable Representative Patrick Snyder, who is the State Assemblyman for District 85. And you can come on up, but I do want to say a few words. I do want to say that, again, since I've lived here in Lhasa, I know that you've always been a supporter, of not only of Nao Shoua, but of the whole community. And everywhere we are, you are there too. So I just want to thank you for that and your support of the community, but most certainly of our veterans. And so Representative Patrick Snyder, he's our second honoree today that will be speaking, and I'm going to hand the mic over to him to say a few words.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, Governor Evers, First Lady, Nao Shoua, Mayor, good friend Jerry. First and foremost, I'm honored to be included here, and I want to thank the veterans that are still here with us who have served so bravely and need to be continued to be remembered. You know, I was raised up in Milwaukee back in the 60s and early 70s, and my mother always taught me that in order to understand everyone, you have to do the old adage of walk a mile in their shoes. And I must say, over the last 10 years, in my relationship, starting when I worked for Congressman Sean Duffy and now as your legislator, I've been able to really find out so much more about our Hmong veterans and the Hmong culture and the Hmong community. And it really is enriching me. You know, to think back that our Hmong veterans, some started as young as, 12 or 13 years old? I think back to myself at 13 years old and how squirrely I was. I really couldn't see myself in a battle situation, but you did. And then because of that choice and that sacrifice, you were forced out into refugee camps, and then coming from a pretty much agricultural background, relocated here in the United States, and have just made tremendous strides. And I think one of my missions, you know, as a legislator and as just a person and a citizen of this state, is to make sure other people understand the path that you have made and the success that you have made. It just, you know, I was so honored to be able to work with Senator Petrowski on so many of these things. When I jumped in and became a legislator, he immediately got me together and we worked on things that not only helped our Hmong veterans, but also the Hmong community. And I think one of the things I've tried to do as a legislator is put the spotlight more on our Hmong community. I was honored to be able to have Jim Harris come down last session, and he spoke about Laos to America and the tremendous work he's done of going over and reducing the landmines and the missiles in Laos, in Cambodia, and all those areas. Just tremendous. And every opportunity I have, I try to extend the knowledge for others, because I think if we understand and know more, then that takes away some of the fear or ignorance that people might have. In fact, this Wednesday, we have a floor session, and Pastor Yao Yang will be the invocation leader. And that's another example of someone who's been through quite a trail in the refugee camp, moving here in the early 90s to Warsaw, even serving in Iraq, and the story he has. So I just think the more opportunities that occur with that, the better. And I'm so happy to be able to be part of the historic Hmong Veterans Day that is now going to be served every May 14th, and look forward to be part of that as well. I want to thank you, the culture. I've been able to attend Hmong weddings, Hmong funerals, many of the servicemen, to be able to present a citation, and also some of the clan celebrations and Hmong New Year. It's a joy, and I hope more people have that experience. And I just want to thank you for this honor, and I look forward to being considered one of your brothers. Thank you.
Next, we have the Honorable. He says former now and retired, but to me, still a senator, right? So the Honorable, former State Senator Jerry Petrowski of District 29. He also has been a real supporter, especially of the Hmong community, but especially of our Hmong veterans. So we thank you for that today. Today we honor you. So if you could please come on up, so you can have the stage for a few minutes.
Good afternoon. Honorable veterans, Honorable Governor Evers, Representative Snyder, Mayor Rosenberg. I think Senator Corey Tomczyk is here too. I don't know where he's sitting, but I hope you get a chance to talk to him. I want to thank you for being invited today. I want to thank you for your service, for your work in the community. I want to thank you for your friendship and all the things that you put in to make Wisconsin great. Being retired now for 2 months, I find myself having more time to think. Usually about 5 in the morning, the house is really quiet and there's no distractions or interruptions. And, you know, I spent 24 years being your senator. I never planned on staying 24 years. But it just seems that at the end of every session, I had so many more things I wanted to do, and so I would run again. But there comes a time in life that everything has to change. And it's just the way it is. It's that journey that we're all on. That journey is to find wisdom and knowledge and understanding. I really have gotten to know so many of the Hmong veterans. Nao Shoua, of course, on top of the list, he is my brother. At that same table is Zablong, who I always call Uncle. But there's a reason for that. He looks exactly like my great uncle. And he was also a great guy also. But like I say, all of you have become more than my friends, become my family. It's, you know, in life you get to meet a lot of people. Some they gain your respect. Some you admire. And some you cherish. Some are all in 3 categories. Usually those become your true friends. And in this world, nothing is more important than friends. Friends will allow you to get things done when people say that there's no way that it can happen. And one of the things I've been doing, being retired, is I decided to write a letter to my grandchildren. And I sometimes do this at 3, 4 in the morning. Depends whenever I'm moved. And of course, it's kind of a long process, but I can remember writing one paragraph in there about true friends, that they should always cherish their true friends, because they're far and few between and hard to find. But your true friends will always make you better than you are without them. And that's a life lesson that I think everybody should learn. When I first got elected, I asked one of the old legislators, and I told him that his name was Bob Zukowski, and he's long passed away, but he was a good guy. And I said, Bob, I want to know all these things. I want to understand the equalization aid formula. I want to understand the property tax levy credit, the 2/3 funding, primary, secondary, tertiary tiers. I wanted to know it all. I wanted to know the formulas. I wanted to know everything in transportation, all the programs, whatever. And we went through agriculture. And he told me before he even started, he says, well, Jerry, there's only 3 people that understand those formulas. 2 of them are dead and the 3rd one's a liar. But there were people in Madison, Bob Lang from the Fiscal Bureau, legislators like Luther Olson, Rob Coles, Mike Ellis. They were always willing to teach you if you really wanted to learn. And I wanted to learn everything. So every weekend I'd take home a stack about 8 inches thick to read. And I can't tell you that I enjoy reading, but I'm fortunate because I usually retain what I read. And so after a while, I became more selective about what I was going to read. But it really helped. And now I find myself, after 24 years, and, I know that sometimes some of you become frustrated because the political scene isn't everything you'd like it to be. You have so many people that are trying to fix blame on somebody rather than trying to solve the problems that are out there to solve. And in 24 years, you really didn't see me affix blame on somebody. Even I maybe wasn't happy at times. But I think the job in government is to fix the problems that are there. And that's really what I have focused on doing. I want to thank you, all of you. And I have a little bit left to finish. I asked Yi how long I could talk, and he said I could talk as long as I want. So I read some articles. My letter to my grandchildren is 230 pages long. Now, at some given time, I'm probably going to have to shorten it. But there were some things I thought it was important for them to know and understand in life. And I took an article that George P. Shultz had written. Now, the name probably isn't familiar to all of you, but he was Secretary of State, Secretary of Labor. He was the budget manager for 3 of our presidents, at least maybe more. Nixon, Reagan, and the Bushes. And he said that when there was trust in a room, anything is possible. And think about that. Because whether it's foreign policy, whether it's at the kitchen table, wherever you are, if there's trust, great things can happen. I found that to be true. And I would like to thank some of the people here tonight. First, I'll start out with Pat Snyder. Pat Snyder and I worked on many bills, some for the Hmong, the flags for the burial, the Hmong Lao Veterans Day. That was one that we really pushed through, and a number of other things. I picked Pat because I wanted somebody that cared and somebody that could get the job done in the other house. Because it doesn't matter what one house does, both houses have to do it. And Pat has just been great to work with. He's been fun to work with, and I'm gonna miss that part of not being there, Pat. And then I would like to thank our dear governor. People don't understand how this all works in government, but I want to tell you something about the governor. His door has always been open to have a conversation. The first step in fixing things is trust and having the opportunity. When I need to talk to the governor about most anything, I will send him a text message. And it's always kind of the same. Dear Governor, I would like to really have a conversation. I know you're busy, you don't have any time, but if you could make a little time, it would be great. And usually he'll send me a message back, and he'll tell me when he's going to call me, and if it works or not. And I always respond the same way, great. And we have a conversation on all the things that I would like to talk about, the things he would like to talk about. Sometimes it's in his office, sometimes it's on the telephone. But we have a conversation, and it isn't that we have to agree on everything. But we can have the conversation, and I know that if there's a way, he'll help me. The Hmong come up in every conversation, usually because the governor asked me how the Hmong community is doing. And, everything flows from that friendship, because that's what really gets things done. I don't want you to feel bad when you turn on the TV and you see all the things that are not what you'd like it to be. Because the opportunity is just around the corner for the conversations to be had. Together, united, there is nothing that we can't accomplish. Nothing. That's the part that people have to understand. There's a time and place for partisanship and for campaigns. But our job as governor, as senator, as representative is to solve the problems that are out there. Not only to make life better for us, but to make life better for our children and for our grandchildren. So, thank you, Governor Evers. It's so nice to see Mrs. Evers here today. Thank you, Pat. And thank each and every one of you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
But it is my honor to introduce our amazing governor, Tony Evers, today. Thank you, everybody.
Meg, thank you for the introduction, and Macy, thank you so much for doing this today. You know, this event for me today is an important event, and something that is really meaningful to me as governor, and frankly to me as a human being. And it ranks up there with another event that I had the opportunity to be involved in. And I was trying to think of the date as I was sitting there waiting and listening to all the other great speakers. I think it's about 2004. And at that time, I was Deputy State Superintendent for Public Schools in Wisconsin. And I had the honor of leading educators, mostly Hmong educators, on a visit to Thailand and Laos. And it was just a great group of people. We had fun together, we learned a lot together. What I remember is one of those times that changed my life, frankly. We were on a bus, we were headed to Laos, and we were going to cross the Mekong River. And many of the Hmong educators that were with me crossed that river going the opposite direction. They had told me their own stories, individual stories, and all the time. We were there prior to going across the river. And crossing the river was an extraordinarily meaningful to me and to the people that were crossing the river. We inched across that bridge and people were crying, people were afraid that they wouldn't be able to come back over that river once they were in Laos. And the energy in that bus, you could feel it. You could feel it. And that was how many years after they had crossed the river going the other way from Laos to Thailand. And it just left me with the really important lesson that what a sacrifice. What a sacrifice. They must have been very young then, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, maybe a little bit older. But what a sacrifice the parents and the community made to make that trip across the Mekong River. And the trip itself, obviously, many did not make it. They were extraordinarily, it was just a visceral event. And it left a mark on me. And it's one of the reasons I feel so close, not only to the Hmong community, but to all people in the state of Wisconsin that have struggled. And that struggle remains yet today, but things are extraordinarily better and heading in the right direction. So May 14th, 1975, another really important day. That is the day when the last group of Hmong Lao soldiers and their families were transported to refugee camps in Thailand. And because that date, May 14th, 1975, we honor those brave soldiers that left that day, their families that left that day, and all the other folks that fought behind the scenes. The veterans here, 280 of them left. You think about the love they must have had for the country to do that, the willingness to risk their lives every single day during the war. And it was a secret war on their behalf, but it was war nonetheless. Brave soldiers that risked their lives for the United States of America and for freedom across the world. So, with all that, May 14th, 1975, I was able to, as governor, for 2019 and 2020, while Senator Petrowski and this Assemblyman Snyder were working on Act 31. I was able to proclaim unilaterally that date, May 14th, will forever be etched in our hearts to recognize the One Lao veterans and the ones that did not make it. So in 1922, I think it was, Senator Petrowski and his good leadership and Representative Snyder created a law that on every May 14th, going forward, in the state of Wisconsin, flags will be set at half-mast. People will get together all across the state, and as we have done it thus far, many times in Madison, to have a recognition of those brave soldiers that saved many lives, cost many lives, and are yet here today. And I thank you, gentlemen, for your extraordinary work. We have to do more for these veterans, and that is my hope. We have things in the budget right now that hopefully we can get past. The efforts of the bravery and the bravery of these veterans is just extraordinary. 280 left. We need to get whatever benefits we can for them, whether it's burial benefits or other benefits, to say thank you so much for your service to our country and to the world. And so, as you know, likely you know, the Hmong population in Wisconsin is the largest Asian American population in the state of Wisconsin. And we are so fortunate that Wisconsinites have always welcomed people to our great state. Just this last couple years ago, we brought over 15,000 Afghani refugees to the state of Wisconsin. Some of them stayed. Many of them went to warmer climes, but some of them stayed. And that has been our history. That doesn't mean that the transition isn't a difficult one. Obviously it is, but we need to make sure that as Wisconsinites we can continue to welcome people to our state and to thank them for their service, if that is the case. So during the pandemic, I was able to utilize resources in a way that I think was really critically important, and as was mentioned before, such as the mutual aid group here. Thank you very much for your great work. We were able to provide some resources in a really important way. They have a project resiliency going on across the state of Wisconsin that really closed cultural gaps to make sure that people that needed the mental health provisions and behavioral health provisions could access that in a very, very appropriate way. So thank you, Wookman, for that work. And obviously, we were able to work with the Hmong Chamber of Commerce and the Hmong American Center for having them continue doing their great work in the pandemic. This is a time when we need to step up as a state to make sure that people got the services that they needed, and these three groups in particular did an extraordinarily good job. And I'll just mention something in the Milwaukee area that has been a treat for me over the years. Is the Hmong Peace Academy. It's an extraordinary opportunity for young people in a really appropriate way to not only learn, get their diploma, move on in life and be successful, but also capture and make even better their culture and share that culture with others. Hmong Peace Academy is run by one of those folks that I talked about that went across the bridge with me and many others. And she's been running the Peace Academy for several years. So it all comes back though to the veterans and to the veterans here. Thank you for your service. We need to do whatever we can to recognize you as heroes to our state and our nation, and whatever we can do to expand those benefits, we will do that. So again, thanks for allowing me to be here today. I know we have a lot of eating and other things to do, so I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Let's give another round of applause for Governor Tony Evers. I too have had the distinct honor of.
Well, very exciting for today. Governor, you can enjoy the Hmong Lao veteran today. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's an honor to be here with all these great veterans that served for our country and what they've meant to our state of Wisconsin. So I'm just thrilled to be here and to share in their honor. But it's really about them. The veterans are the ones that did the hard work and put their lives on the line for the United States of America. Yes, to every one of the veterans that are still with us, thank you so much for your service. We're hoping to provide as many benefits as possible for you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I want to thank the veterans community for inviting me. They are close friends of mine, and we did a lot of things through the years, and it has been my honor and privilege to help them in their journey in the United States.
I just want to again thank all the veterans that have made this so important. I am honored to be able to be honored by them. I think we should remember the veterans, what they've done. So many times we think about Vietnam, we forget about our allies and the Hmong fighters that helped us get through. And not only for the veterans that are with us yet, but those that have sacrificed. So thank you.
一种日子佢哋能จากเขา哋เขา报道了เนาะอย่า中国Baci Khi Tes到Nao Shoua Xiongถึงที่เป้ดอกตุงกำมันเลยที่อีตัว Senator ที่ดอกอีตัว Representative หล่อจอเจริญนั่นแหละทุกคืนเราผู้ขวดที่ว่าจอลูกกองเขาแล้วก็มาเป็นสื่อเจอตัวเต้นหนอเต้จือตัวกองตัวเต้จงว่าว่าBaci Khi Tesนี่เนาะกูอยากให้เขาเก่งคือตอนเด็กเป็นมงจอบพวกเราเต้นหนอเต้จือหล่อจอเจริญนั่นแหละว่าจนเราได้ตัวใช้ในวิดีโอเนาะ